The air was thick with an alien humidity, faintly metallic and sharp, as Ambassador Elaine Carter stepped out of the shimmering shuttle onto the surface of Zeverax Prime. Towers of obsidian metal twisted toward a dark sky laced with pulsing green veins of energy. The alien world was both breathtaking and disconcerting, its strange beauty laced with a palpable sense of danger. Around her, the Zyrian delegation waited, their elongated forms gleaming under the bioluminescent flora. They were tall, their skin plated like living armor, eyes black as voids that betrayed no emotion. Elaine adjusted the translator device in her ear and took a deep breath. She knew the weight of humanity's hope rested squarely on her shoulders. After decades of tenuous skirmishes and political standoffs, this was humanity's best chance at peace. Her voice was steady, a perfect balance of authority and warmth, as she addressed her alien counterparts, hoping to bridge the gap between two vastly different species. "We've both suffered losses," she began, her tone measured but impassioned. "We've both seen what war can take from us. But together, we can forge a future where our differences strengthen us instead of divide us." Her words resonated, her charisma undeniable, as she laid out humanity's vision of cooperation. For a moment, there was silence. The Zyrians exchanged unreadable glances, their stillness unnerving. But Elaine pressed on, believing her words were taking root. The tension shattered in an instant. Without warning, a crackling hum filled the air. Plasma bursts tore through the chamber, their blue light illuminating chaos. Elaine's security detail moved, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. Screams filled the room as the Zyrian soldiers, silent and methodical, unleashed a brutal ambush. A plasma bolt struck Elaine in the chest, and she staggered, falling to her knees. Blood seeped through her pristine white uniform as the chaos continued around her. Her vision blurred, but her voice did not falter. "Do not let this extinguish hope," she gasped, her defiance cutting through the cacophony. "Fight for humanity." The Zyrian commander, towering and cold, stood over her as she collapsed, lifeless, onto the alien floor. Around her, the human delegation lay in a pool of blood, their mission of peace reduced to a massacre. The Zyrians made no effort to hide their intent now. Their leader addressed his forces with the cool detachment of a predator. "Humanity grows too bold. This is the only language they will understand." Back on Earth, the transmission came through in broken fragments, but the image was clear enough: Elaine's lifeless body, the burning wreckage of the delegation's shuttle in the background, and the unmistakable presence of Zyrian forces standing triumphant. The reaction was immediate. Civilians across the globe erupted in grief and outrage. Crowds gathered in the streets, some in silent mourning, others demanding justice. The loss of Ambassador Carter, a symbol of unity and progress, was a wound that cut deep into the collective heart of humanity. World leaders convened in an emergency summit, their faces grim as the magnitude of the betrayal sunk in. It didn't take long for a consensus to form. Humanity had tried peace, and it had been met with slaughter. Now, it was time to fight. In a broadcast that echoed across Earth, General Marcus Cale stood before the world, his voice unyielding. "They took her from us. They slaughtered our hope, thinking it would break us. But they have only made us stronger. This is not just about vengeance. This is about survival. For Elaine. For Earth." His words ignited a fire that spread faster than any war cry in history. Factories pivoted overnight to churn out warships and weaponry. Recruitment centers overflowed with volunteers, many carrying images of Elaine as they swore their allegiance to humanity's cause. The resolve was unanimous. Earth's nations, once divided by petty squabbles, were now united under one purpose: retribution. The gears of war turned with relentless efficiency, and humanity prepared to face an enemy who believed they were invincible. But the Zyrians would learn, as countless others had before them, that humanity's strength was not in its technology or its numbers. It was in its unyielding spirit, forged in the fires of adversity, and its refusal to bow, no matter the odds. The countdown to war had begun. Across Earth, a storm of industry erupted as humanity prepared for war on a scale never before imagined. Factories once dedicated to consumer goods were transformed into massive production lines for warships, armor, and weapons. Assembly lines roared day and night, spewing forth fleets of sleek fusion-powered battleships armed with experimental weaponry. Spaceports brimmed with soldiers, engineers, and scientists, their faces set with grim determination. These weren't just soldiers of war. They were humanity's last hope, united under one banner for the first time in history. Humanity's greatest minds collaborated, innovating at breakneck speed. Advanced AI systems were deployed to simulate battle scenarios and refine strategies. Fusion technology was adapted to power engines capable of outmaneuvering Xyrian fleets. And then there were the Vanguard Corps, a division of genetically enhanced soldiers, designed to withstand extreme alien environments and operate far beyond normal human limits. They became the face of Earth's elite forces, ready to take the fight to the stars. General Marcus Cale stood at the helm of this unprecedented mobilization, his presence as commanding as his voice. Addressing the millions who had volunteered for Earth's defense, his words cut through the air like a blade. The Xyrians think they've defeated us. They see us as fragile, divided, easy prey. But today, we show them what it means to be human. Today, we rise not out of vengeance, but because we must. For Elaine. For Earth. For our future. The crowd roared, and Cale's words became a rallying cry, carried by every soldier and echoed across every warship and command station. Humanity would not falter. The first strike was swift and brutal. Humanity's fleet, armed with the latest innovations, launched a surprise assault on Drosvek 4, a key Xyrian colony. The assault began with orbital bombardment, waves of high-yield fusion missiles raining down on the Xyrian strongholds. The colony's defenses faltered under the precision of the attack. The human fleet moved with a fluidity and cunning that shocked the Xyrians, their AI-assisted ships outmaneuvering the rigid and predictable patterns of the alien vessels. On the ground, the Vanguard Corps struck like a hammer. Captain Ana Reyes, leading her unit, stormed through the shattered remnants of the Xyrian capital, their tactics as deadly as they were unorthodox. Human forces used EMP bursts to cripple Xyrian weaponry, while swarms of nanotech drones infiltrated their infrastructure, dismantling it from within. Reyes herself was relentless, her squad adapting to the environment with an ease that left the Xyrian defenders scrambling. The fight was close, brutal, and unforgiving, exactly how humanity fought best. Xyrian arrogance began to crack under the weight of humanity's ferocity. For centuries, the Xyrians had waged war as a calculated game of attrition, valuing precision and efficiency over emotion or creativity. But the humans were something else entirely. They fought with a passion that the Xyrians could not comprehend. Rhea's squad demonstrated it best, using guerrilla tactics in the urban labyrinth, ambushing alien patrols, and turning Xyrian traps into opportunities to strike back twice as hard. Above the colony, the human fleet secured its first major victory, and the devastation of Drosvek 4 was broadcast across Xyrian-controlled territories. The once dominant Xyrians were reeling, forced to acknowledge that humanity was not only capable of fighting back but excelling in ways they had never anticipated. In the Xyrian War Council chambers, dissent began to fester. Their leaders, once unified in their belief that humanity would crumble, now faced the uncomfortable truth: they had underestimated the humans' will to survive. Some argued for immediate escalation, while others questioned the decision to provoke humanity in the first place. The Xyrian overlord, Vricker, refused to waver, insisting that humanity's aggression justified the original betrayal. But cracks had formed in the Xyrian chain of command, and those cracks would only grow wider. Meanwhile, humanity was already planning its next move. The success at Drosvek 4 had proven they could not only stand against the Xyrians but outmaneuver them. Earth's forces now set their sights on the ultimate target, Zeverax Prime, the heart of the Xyrian Empire. The time for retaliation had passed. This was war, and humanity had no intention of stopping until the Xyrians understood the price of underestimating them. The human fleet descended upon Zeverax Prime like a tempest, their ships glinting against the star-choked void as they prepared for the largest battle in humanity's history. The Xyrians had fortified their homeworld, surrounding it with immense orbital stations and swarms of fighter drones. Their cold, calculated strategy focused on overwhelming any invader with sheer firepower. But humanity had learned to turn Zyrian arrogance against them. The battle erupted with staggering intensity. Fusion-powered human warships darted between the rigid formations of Zyrian vessels, exploiting gaps in their defenses with hit-and-run tactics. AI-guided missiles streaked across the battlefield, striking key targets with surgical precision. Smaller Earth ships weaved through enemy fire, launching EMP bursts that left Zyrian systems momentarily paralyzed. The Zyrians fought with cold efficiency, but they struggled to adapt to the sheer unpredictability of humanity's assault. On the surface of Zeverax Prime, the battle was even fiercer. Captain Anna Reyes led the Vanguard Corps into the heart of the alien capital, where towering spires loomed over a labyrinthine network of streets and tunnels. The Zyrians had prepared for a siege, their defenses layered with automated turrets, energy shields, and bioengineered traps. But Reyes and her unit moved like shadows, blending human ingenuity with unrelenting grit. They used the terrain to their advantage, turning every Zyrian choke point into a death trap. Reyes' mission was critical: disable the planetary defense grid, the last obstacle preventing Earth's fleet from delivering the final blow. Her team infiltrated deep into the capital, navigating through unrelenting enemy fire and sabotage attempts. The Zyrians were relentless, their numbers overwhelming, but Reyes pressed forward. Every step was a battle, every corner an ambush. Yet she refused to stop, knowing the survival of humanity depended on their success. When Reyes and her squad finally reached the defense grid's core, the air was thick with smoke and blood. The control station was a fortress of alien steel, but Reyes rallied her remaining troops, forcing their way inside. It was a brutal, desperate assault. Zyrian defenders fell, one by one, until Reyes stood amidst the wreckage, bloodied but unbroken. With trembling hands, she activated the EMP charge that overloaded the grid, sending shockwaves through Zeverax Prime's defenses. The skies above the planet lit up with explosions as humanity's fleet capitalized on the opening. As the defense grid crumbled, humanity's forces surged forward. In the chaos, General Marcus Kale led a contingent of soldiers into the Zyrian Command Center, a colossal structure bristling with alien technology. Inside, the air was eerily quiet, save for the hum of energy coursing through the walls. At the heart of the chamber stood Overlord Vricker, the architect of the betrayal that had ignited this war. Kale approached, his weapon lowered but ready, his presence an unshakable force. Vricker's towering form was as imposing as ever, his void-black eyes unreadable. "You think this is a victory?" Vricker's voice was cold, his tone almost mocking. "You've proven only that humanity is as savage as we predicted. Your emotions make you dangerous. Uncontrolled. A species that cannot coexist with others." Kale's response was measured, his voice steady but charged with conviction. "You mistake our will to survive for savagery. You betrayed us, slaughtered our people, and now you question why we fought back? Humanity doesn't seek domination. We seek the right to exist. And we will never let anyone take that from us." The standoff lasted only moments, but the tension was palpable. Rhea's success in disabling the defense grid meant the command center's shields were failing. Explosions rattled the structure as Earth's fleet delivered a devastating barrage from orbit. Kale gave the order to retreat, his troops pulling back as the Zyrian command center crumbled under the onslaught. Zeverax Prime, once the impenetrable heart of the Zyrian Empire, was brought to its knees. The Zyrians, their forces in disarray and their homeworld burning, sued for peace. The humans had proven themselves more than worthy adversaries. They had become a force the Zyrians could no longer ignore. But victory came at an unimaginable cost. The aftermath was a somber reminder of war's toll. Billions had perished, human and Zyrian alike. Cities across Earth bore the scars of loss, while Zeverax Prime was left a shadow of its former self, its once pristine spires reduced to smoldering ruins. The celebrations of victory were muted, overshadowed by the weight of what had been lost. Humanity had fought for its survival, but the price was etched into the faces of every survivor. Captain Reyes stood alone at a newly constructed memorial on Earth, her armor battered, her gaze distant. The memorial bore the name of Ambassador Elaine Carter, whose death had ignited humanity's wrath, alongside the names of countless others who had given their lives in the war. Reyes placed a hand on the cold stone, her voice soft but resolute. "We fought because we had no choice. But now we have a choice about what comes next. I'll make sure we learn from this. I promise." General Cale, now hailed as a hero, delivered a final address to humanity. "We were forced into war, but we emerged stronger because we stood together. Let this victory remind us not just of what we can achieve, but of what it cost us. We rebuild not just for ourselves, but for those we lost, and for the future they fought to protect." Humanity began to rebuild, scarred but united. The war had reshaped them, forging a civilization more resilient and determined than ever. The Zyrians, humbled by their defeat, became cautious allies, their cold pragmatism tempered by a newfound respect for human tenacity. The stars no longer seemed as foreboding. They were a reminder of humanity's greatest challenge, and its greatest triumph. Though haunted by the past, humanity pressed forward, carrying the memory of their struggle as both a warning and a beacon of hope. The price of survival had been steep, but they had paid it, proving once again that when faced with extinction, humanity would rise, unbroken.